Hello and welcome to a series of digital art tutorials funded by Patreon. I want to preface this with a couple of things. First, thank you so much for supporting me on Patreon. October kind of sucked and November sucked as well. Hopefully these next few months will be better, and I really appreciate all the support. It lets me eat. Well, it lets me pay off my student loans, which in turn lets me eat. So I super appreciate it. And the second thing, I am probably not going to be focusing on drawing that much in this series of tutorials. If you want to learn to draw, I have 3 suggestions for you. Go to a life drawing class. Take an illustrator's book outside and just draw what you see. And or download the series of videos produced by a guy named Vilpu. I can't remember how his name is spelled, if it's 2 P's or 1 P. It's either Vilpu or Vilppu. Either way, those videos are, they're so good. They are so good. There was a time where I swore by Andrew Loomis. Fuck Andrew Loomis. Get Vilpu. So the information is just get it, trust me. That's important because the foundation of this will be your drawing, right? It doesn't matter what I show you in terms of rendering. If the drawing is bad, the art will be bad. So honestly, I'd recommend doing those 3 things before you start watching these tutorials. With that said, let's move right into the basics. The thing I use most often, whether it's a painting or a pinup, it's the pen tool. A lot of people are intimidated by the pen tool because they don't understand it. So let's start at the beginning. The pen tool is a vector. Oh, God damn it. Okay, the pen tool is a vector-based method of image creation. There are 2 methods of image creation, raster and vector. Raster is probably what you're most familiar with. Raster involves changing the color of individual pixels, right? So we can zoom in here. You can't see it very well. Let me make that black so you can see it. See, each box here represents a pixel. And when you're making raster images, what you're adjusting is the pixel. Hold on. And so, see? That's 1 dot that you can barely see, right? And the thing about raster images, they're generally easier to sort of comprehend because they're kind of like paintings or drawings. You're putting something down where it's supposed to be, but you can't size it up. So hold on, let me do this real quick. Make this square. Or it'd probably be better if it were just an amorphous shape like so. So if we take that and try to size it up, that little dot, we size it up, you get this sort of ugly mess. And that's because it is a raster-based image. It's based entirely on the pixels around it. Photoshop tries to make its best guess when sizing raster images, but it's never perfect. Vectors, on the other hand, which is what a pen tool uses, are kind of, well, they are mathematical points, right? So let's draw this vector right here. And no matter how we size it, just select it and go to Edit, Transform Path, Scale. No matter how we size it, the quality of the line remains the same. That is the big difference between using the lasso tool, which is what a lot of people go to, and using the pen tool. The lasso tool, whatever you make with it, will only ever be crisp and nice at the size that you make it. With the vector tool, you can adjust and change it. And that becomes very powerful later on, especially if you're working for stuff that's going to be printed at very, very high resolutions, like posters and stuff. I feel like a lot of people would benefit from using vectors in the pen tool over the lasso tool and raster tools. And one of the great things is that if you make a shape with the lasso tool, which is what a lot of people use, you can't really adjust the shape. You can't be meticulous about the exact shape that you want. But with the lasso tool, or not the lasso tool, with the pen tool, you can always adjust what you've made and make it better and copy it. So yeah, that is why I prefer to use the pen tool. Now, the pen tool creates, if you have it selected, at the very top here, you'll have a whole bunch of options for you, right? And the first is what kind of vector that it makes. So you have, I don't know what Pixel does, to be honest. I've never used it. I use either shape or path. Shape will create a masked layer in your layers palette, so based on the color that you select for the fill. So if I can start here, let's make a shape. See, right here it made a shape layer for us, and we can adjust what kind of thing that we want in that shape layer, like the color. We can choose a gradient if we want, which I'm not a big fan of. If we want it to be transparent, or if we want it to have like a pattern, right? Now there's possibilities there, but I never, to be honest, I never use it that way. At most, I will use it as a color, like so. But even then, I don't use it that way. And we can also stroke it, like make a line fall along the path. We can choose the color of the line, once again, whether or not it's a pattern, whether or not it's a gradient, the kind of line. We can make, give it like these little dashes. And there's a way to control these dashes, but I don't use this like at all. Just being thorough. The size of the line, like so. But I never use it that way. So, and that is that option. And the second option that you have, hold on, let me make a new, there we go. Okay, so, and the other option that we have is to make paths. Now, paths can be found in the paths menu right here. Well, set that, and that should be your default. And the paths menu is kind of like the layers menu, except not as robust. It separates all the paths that you make into layers however you want to make them. So here, let's make a new path. Generally it will create paths like well, actually never mind about that. Never mind. So let's delete these two layers and create a new paths layer. So since this is set to path, when we make a vector, it will be on this, in this palette, right? It won't be in layers. There won't be like a shape thing here now. It'll be here. And you can keep adding to this layer as long as you want. And you'll be able to select individual paths using the path selection tool that you can like move around and adjust, like so. And then once you're done, you create a new path layer and you can make more paths. Now, I use this way to sort of separate shapes and ideas, right? So in the first draft of this tutorial, I started working on this image of Elsa, and as you can see, the silhouette is separated from other parts. So now if I were to start working on, say, I don't know, her bathing suit here, I could create a whole nother path layer for that, and those two paths won't interact, right? Because here's what would happen if I started, so I'm on the path for like the silhouette that I made here. If I started making another path for her bathing suit, hold on, let me pick the right color here. So like there's the path, there's the color that I'm going to use for the bathing suit, right? So I start making it blah 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 blah. Oh, this is so good. This is like the best job I've ever done. And then I press fill. Oh no, it's all blue. See? That is not what we want. That is patently not what we want. So it's best for us to start doing this on a separate layer. See? Makes life easier for us. Okay, so now what scares a lot of people is how to control the pen tool. The pen tool, so if you just do these simple clicks like that, it makes these very straight, rigid lines that sort of connect to each other, like so. Very, very similarly to the polygon lasso tool, right? But what we can do is when we click and hold down, we create these two handles, and these handles control like the direction and intent of the line that's coming to and going away from that point, right? So this affects how the line drawn from here to here goes, and this will affect the line drawn from this point to the next point. So since this is going down, and I press up like that, see, it goes down because this is sort of where it wants to go to begin with, and this is where it ends up. So you can adjust these and adjust how the curve looks. You hold Alt and you'll get this little like triangle. You probably can't see it on the video, which is unfortunate, but if you hold Alt and move over the handle, you'll get like it'll turn into a kind of triangle. Don't know how else to put it. And if you click and hold, you can adjust this handle, which will in turn adjust what the curve looks like. The smaller, or the smaller the distance between the anchor and the handle will mean less of an effect on the line. So you make it really long, huge effect. Make it really short, short effect. And like, let's say you're drawing a curve that suddenly changes, right? And you can always adjust this later on. But like, let's say this curve is suddenly supposed to go this way. Well, if you want it to be very, very abrupt, you can just hold Alt and click on the anchor, and it gets rid of that handle. And then, boom, get a very, very sharp curve. Right? And my basic advice with doing this is to make sure that the handles kind of create a tangent along the line that you're making. So let's do this for realsies now. Okay, so quick thing, I made a new layer because in the layer palette for the bathing suit, and I made a new path for the bathing suit. Yeah, it's kind of time consuming, but important to separate this all out. So, and the next thing that you might want to do, and oh, I forgot, sorry. In the paths menu, you have these options down here that determine how you can interact with the paths that you create. You can fill them in, you can stroke them. It's just like what I showed you with making a shape, except you have a little bit more control. So in this case, we just want to select this this silhouette, so that you'll see. So we just click on the silhouette path, and then we click on that button, and it makes these little marching ants for us to work with. Click on the new path, and we are using the pen tool, and we'll start here, right there, and then click, drag, and as you can see, these handles kind of follow along the line of what we're trying to create. So we come here, and there. It's kind of hard to see. I know. I want that thing there. And a little bit of advice. The less for like smooth curves, the less anchors you create, the better. So it doesn't matter what we do around here. So click and drag. See, but since this anchor is so far, it's way too far, because we're going to be creating another thing here. We click on it and we drag it back. There. Drag. Drag. There we go. And now we click on paths and fill, and there you go. And that is how I use paths. Now, there's more to it, obviously, but hopefully that gives you a good primer. And yeah. I use it both in paintings and in cartoon work like this. In paintings, I use it for silhouettes and stuff like that. Like, here's something I'm making right now, and her silhouette and the silhouette of the thing that she's sitting on was all made using vectors. It gives you this really nice, it gives you exactly what you want, basically. Okay, so hopefully that first tutorial wasn't too bad, and hopefully you learned something. Thanks for watching, and once again, thank you so much for supporting me. Hopefully there will be more of these to come, and they will be more helpful and better. So thanks again, and I'll see you later. Bye.